Hey guys, how's it going? Phil here again. So we're going to be going over how I'm going to use these IRs in a mixed scenario, mostly with real amplifiers. Today we're also going to be using the SCL Tones Libra IR loader, which is a fantastic IR loader for doing single IRs, but you can also use these and blend them, which we'll also go over that as well. This is going to be a song from a band that I mixed earlier this year called Fleshbound. And it's got a nice bit of technicality to it and also some chugs, so you can really kind of hear articulation from these IRs, but also how they would sound in the context of a mix. Yeah, so a few tips that I have when getting this IR pack from the start. Definitely start with the edge of dust cap IRs first. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be my personal go-tos if I was miking up my cabinet. That's usually my starting point for most tones I do. Another thing you can do too is the blends that are going to be included in this IR pack. You can also start with those if you're kind of looking for a good place to not have to mess around with the IRs too much. They're already going to be blended to taste. So if you just throw them in a mix, they'll basically be ready to go. All they really would need is maybe a little bit of EQ here and there, but most of them are pretty mix ready as they are. And one of the things to keep in mind too when you're using IRs is not to really judge them solo, but more as in the context of the mix itself. Because that's really where these are going to shine the most, is in a left-right stereo situation in the mix that you're trying to dial in. Whereas if you're trying to listen to it solo, especially if you're doing it like center mono, they're not going to sound and react the way that you would probably think they would. But if you are going to use them that way, they do sound and feel great. Most of the time you're going to want to use them in context of a mix just so you can really hear what your stereo image is like with your guitars. For this particular case point, we're going to go with the MCL VOG for what we're going for right now. But if we open this up, you can see that I'm using one of the Mesa OS's, which is going to be the Edge of Dust Cap one, which was just a straight 57 on a V30. So let's just track a left and a right of this segment right here, and then we're going to go over a few of the different IRs and see kind of like what we can get from those. All right, let's do the right guitar. All right, and we're just gonna loop this real quick and open up Libra so we can kind of check out some of these IRs and see, you know, a difference between how all of these are going to sound and react in the mix. Let's switch this over so we can try out the Mesa Traditional, which is just single 57 as well. Right, let's check out that. Sounds pretty good. Let's go ahead and check out another single 57 cabinet real quick. This is probably one of my favorite ones in here, which is going to be the Angle. So let's check out the Edge of Dust Cap, one of these. Usually the Edge of Dust Caps are my go-to miking solution for cabinets, but I also have a couple of dark ones as well as center of the dust cap if you want to kind of do a little bit more blending. But if you're doing center of dust cap, just be mindful that it will be a lot brighter than the rest of them, but it's still going to have a good amount of low end and mid-range punch. Now, if you want to kind of blend that out, I do have a bunch of dark ones, which is going to be more further to the paper of the cone. So it's going to be a lot darker, a little bit more fat in the mids, but that makes a good balance if you're trying to balance the two together. So let's take a look at the Angle XXL real quick with these guitars. And that sounds pretty good, but let's try a couple blends real quick with the 184 on the angle. So let's just go to those real quick. All right, let's check out this blend real fast and see here. As you can hear, we're doing the 184 blend with the 57. It's going to give you a lot more balance in the top end, but also a more pronounced mid-range, which for technical death metal, kind of like this band, it's definitely going to help you get a little bit more clarity out of the notes with your amplifiers. These also are going to work very good with any of your amp sims that you have as well. This particular instance is just how I would personally use them with real amplifiers. Yeah, and then like a few tips that I have when it comes to using these IRs, definitely make it to where you're able to switch between them pretty seamlessly, just so you don't get used to the sound of the particular tone that you're using. It'll make it to where you're able to actually make better judgment calls on which IR feels and sounds the best in the context of what you're using it for. Again, this is Phil from Sonic Assault Studios. Hopefully you enjoy the pack. We put a lot of time and effort into this one, and we're really excited for everyone to enjoy these.